Myself, Mahesh Kumar, Assistant Professor of Chemistry. Today, in the environmental sustainability, we are going to discuss about the crazy consumerism, environmental education, that is urban sprawl. Crazy consumerism, environmental education, and urban sprawl. Today's topic we are going to discuss. Topics to be covered in this environmental education is environmental education, importance of environmentally educated, values, urban sprawl, reasons for the development of sprawl, impacts of urban sprawl, and final conclusion. These are the topics today we are going to discuss in this class. One is environmental education, importance of environmentally educated, what are the values of environmental education, urban sprawl, reasons for the development of sprawl, impact of urban sprawl, final conclusion of the this one. Coming to crazy consumerism, what actually the crazy consumerism is, we have seen that consumerism pattern vary greatly between developed and less developed nations. Consumerism is a patterns that vary between the developed countries and and less developed nations. However, in the modern age of globalization, even in developing countries, consumerism has fast increased following the footsteps of the West. There is a mad race to acquire more and more, which has been facilitated by easy financing. So, consumerism has assumed crazy dimensions where different brands of products are introducing new ways to promote the consumerism. So, consumerism has assumed crazy dimensions where uh, different brands of products are introducing new ways to promote consumerism, and the consumers are consuming various resources in a manner that could never be imagined even a couple of decades back. So this trend represents economic growth, but the crazy consumer is a threat to sustainability. Threats to sustainability. Now, conclusion for this crazy consumerism is a present generation should aware for the need of presence and future generation, need of presence and future generation, and also ensure that productive assets available to future generation are not. Such technologies need to develop and implemented which help in conserve resources. So we need to prevent the unnecessary pollution and help to restore the environmental wherever appropriate. We need to prevent the unnecessary pollution and help to restore the environment wherever appropriate. So we need to spread the social awareness to bring massive change in the social attitude. Massive change in the action must be taken against the backdrop of serious inequities and the impact on environment. The environmental mistakes of past need not to be repeated, and the past pattern degradation are not inevitable. Past pattern degradations are not inevitable. The action must be taken against the whatever the drawbacks are there on serious inequities and the impact on the environment. Now, coming to the environmental education, there is a Chinese proverb: if you plan for 1 year, plant rice. If you plan for 10 years, plant trees. Okay, if you plan for 1 year, the plant will rise, and if you plan for 10 years, plant trees, and if you plan for 100 years, educate people. Educate people. If you want to protect, manage our planet, Earth on sustainable basis, we have no option but to make all persons environmentally educated. The main aim of environmental education is if you want to protect and manage our planet Earth on sustainable basis, what we have to do means there is no other option but to make all the person environmentally educated. Environmentally educated. What are the importance of environmental educated? Importance of environmental educated is environmental belongs to all and participation of masses is a must for successful implementation of environmental protection plans. Environmental belongs to all and participation of mass is a must for successful implementation of environmental protection plans. Hence, every person should environmental literate. Okay, every person should be environmentally literate. Living in technological developing society, our lifestyle and attitude have become self-oriented. Living in a technologically developing society, our lifestyles and attitude have to become self-oriented. Environmental education is needed to change the mindset of a modern society for each earth-oriented approach. Earth-oriented environmental education is needed to change the mindset of modern society for earth-oriented approach. There is a need to make a public environmentally educated. Okay, there should be need to make the public environmentally educated about the serious health impact of environmental pollution and the right to live in a clean and healthy environment. There is a right to live in a clean and healthy environment. There is a urgent need to educate people that we have no other option but follow sustainability principles. Okay, there is a urgent need to educate the people that we have no options but to follow sustainability principles. What are the sustainability principles of environmental educated? Only then life of mankind on the earth would be secure. Life of the mankind on the earth would be secure and our future generation would be safe. Our future generation would be safe. The environmental education is a mandatory subject. Environmental education is a mandatory subject. The following Supreme Court directives, MC Mehta versus Union of Indian 1988. The following Supreme Court directives in the MC Mehta V versus Union of India 1988, environmental education has been included in curriculum right from the school stage to the college university level. Okay, here Supreme Court has given direction to implement the environmental education in the school stages to university level or college level. The prime objective of the same is to make everyone environmental literate. The main aim of this environmental education is to everyone has to be know about the environmental education. Okay, everyone should be literate with the environmental education. In order to propagate the environmental education for certain earth citizenship, it has been value oriented. It has been value oriented. What are values? What are the human values? What are the social values, cultural and religious values? Okay, what are the human values? Values are the preparation of textbooks and resources, materials about the environmental education. Okay, values are again four types here: human values, social values, religious values, and cultural values. Social values, religious values, and cultural values. Preparation of textbooks and resources materials about environmental education can play important role in building positive attitude about environment. The basic human value man in nature rather than nature for man needs to be infused through the same. Okay, here the human values is the preparation of textbooks and the resource material about environmental education can play an important role in building positive attitudes about the environment. The basic human value man in the nature rather than nature for man needs. Man in the nature then rather than the nature for man needs to be infused through the same. Social values. Social values comes under love, compassion, tolerance and justice, which are basic teaching for most of our religious need to obey in environmental education. These are the values to be nurtured to so that all the forms of life and biodiversity on the earth is protected. Okay, here love, compassion, tolerance, and justice, which are in basic teaching of most of our religious education, need to be in environmental education. There are these values are to be nurtured so that all the forms of life and the biodiversity on this earth is protected. Now, coming to the cultural and religious values, these are the values enshrined in Vedas like Dilli me dadami te. That is, you give me and I will give you. Yajurveda. Here, which emphasize that man should not exploit the nature without nurturing her. Okay, you give me, I will give you. Yajurveda, which emphasizes that man should not exploit nature without nurturing her. Our cultural customs and rituals in many ways teach us to perform such functions as would protect and nature and respect every aspect of nature, treating them as a scared, be it rivers, earth, and mountains or forests. Our cultural customs and ritual in many ways teach us to perform such functions as would protect and nature and respect every aspect of nature, treating them as a scared, be in the rivers, earth, and mountains or in the forest. Ethical values, global values. Here, environmental education should encompass the ethical values of earth centric rather than human centric worldview. Okay, the education system should be promote earth citizenship thinking. Instead of considering the human being as a supreme, we have to think of welfare of the earth. Welfare of the earth. Global value. The concept that the human civilization is a part of the planet as a whole, and similarly the nature and various natural phenomena over the earth are interconnected and interlinked with special bonds of harmony. The concept that the human civilization is a part of planet as a whole, and similarly nature and various natural phenomena over the earth are interconnected and interlinked with special bonds of harmony. If you disturb this harmony anywhere, there should be ecological imbalance leading to the leading ecological principles of self restraint, self discipline, uh, contentment, reduction of wants, freedom from the greed, and are some of the finest elements intricately woven in traditional and religious fabric of our country. Okay, all of these values promote the conservatism and transform our consumerist approach. The above mentioned human values, social values, and the ethical values, spiritual values, global values are incorporated into the environmental. All this value we have to incorporate. We should introduce it into the environmental education. Can go a long way in attaining the goals of sustainable development and environmental conservation. Okay, above all the values of human values, social, cultural, ethical, spiritual, global, and incorporated into the environmental education can go along a way in attaining the goals of sustainable development and environmental conservation. The value based environmental education can bring a total transformation in our mindset, our attitudes, and our lifestyles. The the value based environmental education can bring into total transformation of our mindset, our attitudes, and our lifestyles. What is urban sprawl? What is urban sprawl? Very often there is a expansion of urban growth on edges of cities and towns. Going up surrounding countryside, urban sprawl is also known as horizontal spreading. It is also called as horizontal. Other urban sprawl is also called as horizontal spreading or dispersed urbanization. Dispersed dispersed urbanization. Okay, here the uncontrolled and disappropriate expansion of urban area into the surrounding countryside, forming a low density, poorly planned patterns of development is described as a urban sprawl. What is urban sprawl? Urban sprawl is a uncontrolled, disappropriate expansion of a urban area into the surrounding countryside, forming a low density, poorly planned patterns of development is described as a urban sprawl. Urban sprawl is characterized by increased prosperity, economic growth, adequate affordable land, poor urban planning, more dependence on automobiles, destruction of prime crop lands, forest land, wetland, etc., increased problems of urban flooding. Okay, these are some of the characteristics of urban sprawl. What are the characteristics of urban sprawl? Is increased prosperity and economic growth, adequate affordable land, poor urban planning, more dependence on automobiles, destruction of prime croplands, forest lands, wetlands, etc., increased problems of urban flooding. Urban sprawl. Urban sprawls are increasing in most of the developed regions. Due to the urban sprawls, there is a unplanned growth of housing, shopping complexes, office complexes, encroaching upon the free natural landscapes. Urban sprawls are increasing in most of the developed regions. Due to the urban sprawl, there is a unplanned growth of housing, shopping complexes, office complexes encroaching upon the free natural landscapes. Although there is a lot of time wasted by people living in such urban sprawls, as we have spent many more hours driving to and from workplace, it to be preferred by many because it is away from urban pollution. It is away from the a lot of time wasted by people living in such urban sprawl, as they have spent much more hours driving to and from workplace. It to be preferred by many because it is away from urban pollution. What is urban sprawl? Urban sprawl is a what actually the urban sprawl is a situation where large stores, group of houses, etc., are built in area around the city that formerly had a few people living in it. Okay, it is nothing but it is a large stores or group of houses, etc., are built in area around the city that formerly had a few people living in it. Spreading of a city or in suburbs centered around the auto oriented. Spreading of a city or suburbs and around the city, low density development, auto oriented around the auto oriented low density development, metropolitan decentralization or suburbanization, impact of quality of life from large cities to small towns. Impact of quality of life from large cities to small towns. Low land rates, improved infrastructure, rise in standard of living, lack of urban planning, lower house tax rates, rise in population growth, consumer preferences. These all are the some of the characteristics of urban spreading of city, or it's centered around auto-oriented, low-density development, metropolitan decentralization, suburbanization, impact quality of life from large cities to small towns, lower land rates, improved infrastructure, rising standard of living, lack of urban planning, lower house tax rates, rise in population growth, consumer preferences. Low land rates. What are reasons for the development of sprawl? Low land rates. Lower cost land and houses in other suburbs of the cities because the center of the urban development have really made people want to stop settling in the areas and want to venture further out. Improved infrastructure. There is an increased spreading on certain types of infrastructures, including roads and electricity. This is something that hasn't always been available. There are still some areas that don't have these luxuries. This doesn't mean that they aren't working on it. Rise in standard of living. There are also increasing standard of living, average family incomes, which means that people have to ability to pay more to travel and commute longer distances to work and back home. Lack of urban planning. People have loved to find areas that are less trafficked and more calm. People love to find that areas with less traffic and more calm, which leads to sprawl out to the other sections to the town. Unprecedented development, cutting of trees, less green cover, long traffic jams, poor infrastructure force people to move out to the new areas. Move out to the new areas. Lower house taxes rates, rise in population growth, consumer preferences. Cities which will usually have high property taxes. You can usually avoid the taxes by living in other suburbs because the taxes are usually lower than the would be in other situations. Rise in population growth. Another factor that contributes towards the urban sprawl is rise in population growth. As the number of people in a city grows beyond the capacity, the local communities continue to spread further to further from the city centers. People in high income groups have stronger preferences towards larger homes, more bedrooms, bigger balconies, and bigger lawns. There are also causes of sprawl as option is not available in crowded cities. People generally look out for low density residential areas where they can get a home according to their preference. Positive impact of urban sprawl and negative impacts of urban sprawl. What are the positive impacts? Here, positive impact of urban sprawl are there are some positive impacts of urban sprawl like increasing economic production, increasing opportunities for employment, better opportunities. Okay, what are the positive impact of urban sprawl? Increasing economic production, increasing the opportunities for the employment, better opportunities, better services, creating better living conditions, better lifestyle. Now, urban sprawl can extend better basic services, infrastructure as well, social capital such as transportation, sewer, water, better educational facilities, healthcare facilities to larger population. What are the negative impacts of urban sprawl? Traffic strains our infrastructure, roads and bridges. Air pollution strains water supply. Providing streets, utilities, and other public facilities cost more. Loss of green areas, animal habitats, separates class of people. Upper income group move further away. Lower income group stay in the inner city areas. Ecological impacts. Ecological impacts of here urban sprawl. Land consumption, energy consumption, atmospheric pollution. Amount of open space used by each inhabitant has increased about last 20 years by 2 to 3 times. The amount of open space used by each inhabitant. Energy consumption. The level of gas consumption can be used by parameter of level of car use. United Nations and European have moved in the favor of compact city embracing position, supported by research. Denser cities consume least amount of energy for transport. Atmospheric pollution. The level of pollution due to the motor car dependence can more easily be connected to population densities. Conclusion. The different situations are observed to cause sprawl. In almost all the cases, a rise in population plays a major role in the main cause. Urban sprawl is recognized as a problematic aspect of metropolitan growth and development of the world over. The growing concern about the issue shared among the planners, policymakers, environmentalists, and people in the general. The growing concern issued among the planners, policymakers, environmentalists, and the peoples in the general. People in the general. People in the general. All these are the some of the here coming to the references in the Robertson Market Sustainability Principle of Practice Routledge of Taylor Francis 2017 is one of the reference we are going to use for the environmental sustainability, responsibility for teaching the sustainability in the context of general of sustainability education. These are the references we are going to use for the environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability, Robertson Market and Sustainability Principles and Practices, Routledge Taylor and Francis Group 2017. Responsibility for the teaching sustainability in the context general of sustainable education. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.